Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin and the fact that we are experiencing a slight correction so far, but this by no means is necessarily a sustained correction. And a sustained correction will definitely wake the new money up in the space. So far, we have seen a slight correction similar to what we've seen over the last several months. If you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel. Let's go for 260,000 subscribers. Give the video a thumbs up and check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. If we pull up our trusty moving averages and we just say look at the 20-day SMA and the 21-day EMA, we can in fact see that we are below these moving averages. And I don't necessarily think they're that important, as I've always said, but they do help us understand the bullish and bearish sentiment in the space. I don't think people are necessarily looking at a screen 24/7 as to where the 20-day moving average is or the 21-day EMA, but in general you sort of feel bullish or you feel bearish depending on where the price is with respect to the last few weeks, because you generally just want it to keep going up, and then if it pulls back compared to what you've gotten used to over the last several weeks, then you might start to feel a little bit bearish. For instance, right now the 20-day SMA is at 55,617, the 21-day EMA is at 54,896. So for instance, if Bitcoin were to go back to like 56K right now, a lot of people would then all of a sudden become very bullish, okay? And we'll have the mood changes every few hours, like we've been having. Now, we can see that we have gone below these moving averages, these shorter term moving averages already in this bull market. We had a move here that dumped from 36K all the way down to 28 to 29K. This one from the crossing it dumped from 49K all the way down to 43K. So far we just crossed it at 55K, and right now we're at around 54.2. So far nothing crazy has happened, right? This is a correction. We do not yet know if it is a sustained correction. If it's a sustained correction and we actually head down for a while without immediately going back up, it's going to really shake out a lot of the new people. Okay, there's a lot of new people. All they know is that Bitcoin goes up. They can't imagine anything other than that. And so I just want to say to these people, you know, you could be right? The prices could just go back up, go to 65, 70K, and no one's going to be surprised, and everyone will say who bought the dip. But I just want to continue to warn people that if you think that there will no longer be 30% corrections, because I see that a lot in the comments, I see a lot of people saying, you know, the days of 30% corrections are over. It's ridiculous. People said this all the time. They said it last cycle too. We still had it. So I would say, you know, always be, you know, we're optimistic. I'm optimistic on Bitcoin over the long term, but I'm also cautiously optimistic. You know, I expect pullbacks along the way, and if we get substantial pullbacks, then this could be a time to, for me anyways, not financial advice of course, but for me, it could be a time to reaccumulate. Slight pullbacks obviously will depend on your risk tolerance and your macro outlook for the cycle. So right now, we're a few percentage points below these shorter term moving averages. When we bounce off of them, we can get fairly significant bounces. When we fall below them, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to dump down to the 20-week moving average, because we haven't been doing that. We haven't been to the 20-week moving average since like September, October of 2020. Doesn't mean we're going to go there. Maybe it means we're going to head down to the 50-day, right? I mean, this is where we went down to the 50-day moving average back in January. This one didn't even go to that level. So if we take another step out and we look at the weekly moving averages, I think these are a little bit more important. So one thing to consider is that the bull market support band now ranges from 36,267 up to 38,643. This would be a substantial correction, okay? I'm not saying we're going there, but I mean, you know, if the idea is that Bitcoin can never go to 40K again, then I think you're probably mistaken. I mean, there's at least a decent chance it could go to those levels, and it doesn't necessarily have to. I mean, if Bitcoin first rallies to 80K, then a 50% correction would have to take it back to 40. But I'm just saying, if you go in with a deterministic mindset that it can't do it, well, we know that it can, because that's what it's done in the past. Okay, so I always set myself up in a position where I can take advantage no matter what happens, okay? So, you know, if it dumps, then I have dry powder ready to buy the dip. to me, this is not necessarily a dump. I mean, this is just like a statistical fluctuation, right? I mean, Bitcoin dumped to the price it was last week, right? We had a wick to this level last week. We also had a candle that moved above this level the week before, and then everyone was very bullish. So the sentiment can change on a dime. So far, we have not even tested a lot of the shorter term moving averages, and until we test those, there's not a whole lot of reason to spend too much time discussing the longer term moving averages. But obviously, the first area to look, if you're curious, in terms of a longer term moving average, as always, is the 20-week moving average at 36,259. To go to that level from the current valuation would be another 32 to 33% drop. If it took it a few weeks to do it, then it could, maybe it would end up being a 20-something% drop. It depends on how quickly we go there, because of course we know the 20-week moving average is moving up by $1,500 to $2,000 a week or so. So this is definitely a possibility. We want people to keep it in mind. However, I don't think people need to think too deterministically about something like that happening yet, because so far we've done what we've been doing, right? And that is simply dropping back down below these shorter term moving averages, coming into sort of some bearish waters for a week or two, and then not necessarily dropping down to the 20-week, maybe dropping down to the 50-day, or, as I've showed before, the 8-week moving average so far has been holding some level of support. I don't know if it will continue to, but right now the 8-week moving average has been something to keep in mind. It's currently at 51,475. So maybe keep an eye on that level and see if we continue to hold that moving average as we continue to scale higher in this Bitcoin bull market. Now, at some point this year, I should say, whether it happens this week, whether it happens in a month, or whether it happens in, say, 6 months, I do think we will have a sustained correction, okay? I think it's going to, wake a lot of people up to the music that Bitcoin doesn't necessarily just always go up, right? It doesn't just monotonically go up forever, right? There will be corrections along the way. I do think that is going to happen sometime this year. I know a lot of people think that it's just going to go straight up until December. That's just not how, it's almost assuredly not going to do that. So I would say be ready for pullbacks if they come. Maybe look at them as opportunities depending on what your outlook is, like how long your time frame is. That will obviously dictate what your outlook is and what might you do in the short term. If your outlook is only, say, 6 months, then maybe that'll change your strategy over whether your outlook is, say, 3 or 4 years. So figure out what your outlook is, and then I think you can plan accordingly. Because so far, I am a Bitcoin bull, but a lot of people will say that I'm bearish. It's not necessarily that I'm long-term bearish, I'm long-term bullish. It's just that when you look at moves like this, where they just systematically move up month over month over month, and you don't get any substantial pullbacks, you have to wonder at some point, okay, well, when will a substantial pullback happen? So we'll see what happens. We're currently at 53.7. We have some other moving averages we can test, some shorter term targets, right? There's obviously the 50K level. There's like 51, 52K where the 8-week moving average is. Plenty of other levels along the way. The 20-week moving average would be the area we would want to hold to maintain the integrity of the bull market. Still a long ways to go to get there. That would be another 30% drop. If we go there, it's definitely going to wake a lot of people up. Regardless, if you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. Also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Remember, we also have the premium list altcoin season sale. Check it out in the description below. You get access to the TradingView indicators, the Telegram alerts channel, the risk dashboard, the Into the Cryptoverse app, the premium only live streams. We also talk about other topics on there that we don't talk about here. Make sure you guys check it out before the prices go up. Thank you guys for tuning in. Subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye.